All right, let's do sleepers, breakouts, and busts at the wide receiver position. My favorite sleeper wide receiver is blank. We will go Heath, Dave, Jamie. Favorite sleeper wide receiver.
I'm using Fantasy Pros PPR like you told me to, and so I'm going to say Gabe Davis because he's at player 104. And really, if you look at the 4 sites that they're using, his highest ranking is pick 100. So Gabe Davis basically did last year, I think, about what we should have expected it for him to do. And he did it with a busted up ankle for half the year. And then when his ankle finally got right, his quarterback had a busted up elbow. I expect him to be second on this team in targets. I think he has top 30 potential at wide receiver for sure. And the best thing about him is he's that type of top 30 wide receiver that if he's right, 5 or 6 weeks of the season, he might just win for you.
Look who's this Gabe Davis guy.
I know. It's great.
I love it.
I will say my Gabe Davis ranking is much closer to my Gabe Davis ranking of last year. It's his ADP that's fallen 20 spots.
It's
or
crazy.
30.
It's great. Yeah.
All right, Dave, what do you got? Who's your favorite sleeper?
I was getting ready to say Sky Moore because I'm basing it off of Fantasy Pros ADP, but then I looked and I saw Rondale Moore, and his ADP is even lower. But I'm not even going to say him. I'm going back to a name that we've already said a couple times on this very podcast. Nico Collins' ADP is currently 177.3. Okay, that's round 15 for the potential number 1 receiver on the Houston Texans, a candidate to get north of 100 targets. In PPR, I don't see how you pass him up in round 9 or 10.
Okay. I thought you were going to say DJ Moore to complete the Moore group there. Sky Moore, Rondale Moore. But you go Nico Collins. Maybe Moore will be your breakout. We'll find out. Jamie, who's your favorite sleeper?
I'll say Elijah Moore. Just continue your theme there. I was waiting to see who was going to get chosen, and not chosen Anderson. I'm going to go with Robbie Chosen, whatever the hell his name is. I'm going to go with Elijah Moore. I think what we saw from him in his rookie season, hopefully, is more of who he is as a player and what his production can be. And last year was frustrating. With the quarterback scenario in New York, with the role that they were fortunate to play. I don't think he's an outside receiver. I think he's a slot guy. And I think going to Cleveland, fresh start, best quarterback he's ever played with in Deshaun Watson, because he did not get to play with Aaron Rodgers. So getting that, just better targets, better opportunities, and, just better overall situation. So he's a guy that still has top 30 upside, and you're getting him, in the 50s in some cases, but probably most likely based on ADPs that we're looking at in the 40s.
Okay, let's do breakouts. We'll go Dave, Jamie, Heath. Dave, who's your favorite breakout?
You're looking for a Moore, you're getting one. Demi Moore. We haven't seen her in film since the 90s, and I think she's due. No. Sky Moore is my breakout that I'll say. He's a shifty receiver who, by all accounts, has become more comfortable in an Andy Reid offense piloted by Patrick Mahomes. That should be enough to go after somebody like that in round 8 or round 9. Love the positive reports. I think he'll line up everywhere. I think he'll play a lot. I think he'll see a nice amount of targets.
Okay. How about Jamie, your favorite breakout?
I will go with the low-hanging fruit and take Garrett Wilson. Getting the quarterback upgrade with Aaron Rodgers and, building off what we saw with the non-Zach Wilson quarterbacks last year. I think that's something that could carry over for the majority of the season, 17-plus PPR points. I hope the ankle injury is not anything to worry about. He's been missing time. I love the what seems to be the touchdown celebration that he's going to do, the handshake between Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson, if you watch Hard Knocks. So I think it's going to be a fun year for him. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities, and this is going to be the next Devontae Adams that Aaron Rodgers gets to work with. So big season coming for Garrett Wilson in year 2.
Why Amon-Ra St. Brown over Garrett Wilson?
Oh, I think just, him in his 3rd season, I think this is going to be, the unlucky Jared Goff, everybody falling down at the 1. We're going to get a touchdown spike for Amon-Ra St. Brown on top of the fact that he's going to be a 100-catch guy. So very excited about his opportunity, especially with the 6-game head start of not really a quality second option there. So I think it's a huge year coming for him.
Man, one of the decisions I hate making is Garrett Wilson versus Amon-Ra St. Brown versus AJ Brown. I just hate it. I just feel like I'm going to mess up,
I just feel like you're getting a great player.
I hope so. I'll tell you, and I'll get Heath's breakout in a second. I think the one that concerns me the most is AJ Brown. He actually had, last 9 games of the season, he had fewer targets than Devontae Smith. And there are some numbers I can throw out, probably more on tomorrow's show, but
Smith had more catches than him too for the season.
And Goddard didn't even have. Goddard had 69 targets. What if Goddard's over 100 targets? Then I think Wilson and St. Brown have a lot more target upside than AJ Brown.
I think the Eagles probably throw like 75 more passes this year too, though.
Well, they had the fewest running back targets in the NFL. They're definitely not going to have that. They intend.
Oh, I think they probably will.
They intend to throw the ball to DeAndre Swift. They are not going to have the fewest.
Well, they're going to lose more games than if they're going to take targets away from AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert to throw the ball to DeAndre Swift.
I mean, they got him for a reason. He's lined up outside. He's lined up all over the field. How are they not going to have they're going to have more than the fewest targets to running backs? All right.
They'll still be at the bottom half of the league though.
Half, yeah, but that could be a 30 target difference or something like that.
What is that's something we should look at. Like, let's just say 800 rushing yards is the floor for Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
What's the highest a team's ever ranked in running back targets with a quarterback that runs for 800 yards?
I don't know how much.
Because I would say I can't think of
how much has Kyler Murray rushed for. Has he ever gotten to 800?
Quarterbacks that run for 800 yards?
Yeah, go ahead. I think I have two examples for you. But I would say
it's got to be 800. We're going to Azer stat this at 800 or leave it at 800.
I was just trying to think of Jalen Hurts' floor. Like, I think he probably rushes for like 950.
Well, look, Cam Newton ran for 754 yards in 16 games in Christian McCaffrey's rookie season. McCaffrey had 113 targets.
Yeah, DeAndre Swift's not Christian McCaffrey, but okay, that's fair. That's one.
I'm not giving him 113 targets.
How many targets did Barkley have last year?
Oh, that's a great question. I think he led the team.
So like 85.
Yeah, but what if it's all right, we're getting a little off track.
He had 76 targets last year.
76.
Okay, so Daniel Jones ran for 700 yards.
That's a lot, though. I mean, that's a lot. You
Right.
know, 76 targets for a running back on the Eagles would be bad news for those guys. But all right. I'm just saying that over the last half of the season, A.J. Brown did not separate himself from Devontae Smith like he did in the first half of the season. Dallas Goedert missed 5 games during that stretch, and they did not ever throw the ball to their running backs.
I wonder if Dallas Goedert being out is the reason that we saw Devontae Smith's targets go up.
When he came back, Smith still had the same targets as A.J.
Right.
Okay.
But I worry about both of those guys. I worry about how you know what? We always talk about the math problem with the 49ers. We never talk about it with the Eagles, but I do think that it exists.
And to be fair, obviously he missed some time last year. Jalen Hurts yet to run for 800 yards in his career. And there's only been 5 quarterbacks ever to have a 800-yard season. 6, I'm sorry. 800-yard rushing season. Since 2010.
Yeah. I would even go how many 800-yard quarterbacks have produced top 5 wide receivers, I wonder. Or they just simply don't throw that much. But the thing about A.J. Brown is he is incredible. And I think
I'm going to guess DeAndre Hopkins 2020.
With Tannehill at 800? Oh, Kyler at 800?
Kyler at 819 yards.
Okay. How do you guys rank those 3? Sorry for the detour, Heath, waiting for your breakout. How do you rank Wilson, St. Brown, A.J. Brown?
PPR, it's St. Brown, A.J. Brown, and then Garrett Wilson.
Same.
Yep. And it's A.J., Wilson, and St. Brown.
Same.
What about Devontae Adams, the guy we haven't even said his name yet? I don't think.
He's after those 3 guys for me.
Easily after them in non-PPR. I am very close to moving him behind all 3 also in full PPR.
I think he's still ahead of all of them in all formats.
All right. Well, looking forward to debating that. Hey, Heath, who's that breakout for you?
Any of the rest of the second-year wide receivers like Christian Watson, Chris Olave, Jahan Dotson. Which one? Drake London. Like all those guys. I think Olave and Watson are probably they're the top of my rankings. Both of those guys had an incredible year last year in terms of yards per route run. I gave this stat on CBS Sports HQ earlier in the week, but there have been 5 wide receivers as rookies who were better than Olave and Watson on a yards per route run basis. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, Tyreek Hill, and Odell Beckham.
Wow. I mean, that's amazing. And to have
there's for Watson's side of that, I think you put a little bit more caution into that because the sample size was so small. But yeah, both of those guys have the ability to just take a massive leap this year. Both of them should be drafted as top 20 wide receivers in that round 3, round 4 range.
Yeah, you guys feel good about a Drake London breakout? I mean, look, his ADP on Fantasy Pros is wide receiver 26, and it's 68th overall. In our drafts, he's going in the 40s. So, or maybe in the early 50s. Sorry, I think I took him 50th overall in our pick by pick. Hesitantly, by the way. So that's a tough one. We love the player. We don't love the situation. Drake London, Heath, you making that breakout case?
Yeah, especially at that cost. I think he's a round 4 or 5 pick, and I think he's going to be a top 24 wide receiver. I expect he and Pitts to dominate targets. I think Ritter will be better than Mariota was, even if he's not good. And London is a stud talent.
Jamie and Dave, when's the earliest you would take Drake London?
And around 5. Not as excited as Heath.
In round 5, depending on what receivers are on the board. But I do think that there's also the Taylor Heineke factor of if Ritter does stink, that they make the switch, and that will help, I think, the pass catchers.
All right, blank will be a bust. Let's go Jamie, Heath, Dave.
Devontae Adams will be a bust.
Okay, go ahead, make the case.
Poor quarterback play. I think the downgrade from Derek Carr to Jimmy Garoppolo will matter, especially if Garoppolo is not 100%. We know he has a hard time finishing seasons when he goes into them at 100%. So I don't like the quarterback setup there for him. Again, I'll go back to the stat I've continued to say that wide receivers, there's only been 16 wide receivers in the last 30 years, 20 years, whatever it is. I can tell you the exact number, but there's only been 17 wide receivers the last 20 years that have averaged 15 PPR points or more. And only 3, which is what really matters here for Adams, only 3 have been at the level that he was at last season of over 18 PPR points per game. And so I think he will still be good. I don't think you're going to get a crater of a season for him. Sorry, go ahead. You about to say something?
No, I was going to ask you what the qualifier was. There's only been 16 or 18 that with what?
15 PPR, average 15 PPR points per game per season or more. You want me to get the exact thing for you, so I'm not just babbling?
No, that's what I missed. And with a certain level of quarterback play.
I didn't look at all the quarterbacks. Here it is. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's not 20 years. 10 years. Last 10 years.
Okay.
17 wide receivers, 30 or older, have averaged at least 15 points per game or more. Only 3 were at the level of what Adams did last year, which was Jordy Nelson in 2016, Brandon Marshall in 2015. That was with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Jordy was with Aaron Rodgers. And Antonio Brown in 2018 was with Ben Roethlisberger. So, again, Adams can certainly get there. And Adam, you and I have had this discussion. Is he one of these outliers that just has these, continuing fantastic seasons? And he certainly could. I know you made the case more, I think, with DeAndre Hopkins. I'm sure it applies to Adams as well, who's just, turning, age 30. So, again, I'm not completely running away from him. I'm just not taking him in the first round, and I'm taking him behind these other receivers. So it's a lot of, where he was being drafted. I think we're starting to see him slide a little bit because mostly the concern about Garoppolo, which is my biggest one. But I will probably not draft a lot of Devontae Adams unless he falls to the middle to the end of round 2.
All right, Heath, who's a bust for you?
I'll go with DK Metcalf. I just think the addition of JSN, DK's never really been able to become a bona fide number 1 with Tyler Lockett there. It's always been a 1A, 1B situation. And as good as JSN is, and as good as has looked so far in camp, and as good as he was with both Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave on the same team, this might be a 1A, 1B, 1C situation. So I do think the touchdowns probably bounce back. I do think Metcalf will be better in non and half PPR than he is in full PPR. I don't think he's worth a round 3 pick in any format.
I like him in our drafts because your rankings have him much lower than ADP. So round 4, round 4, would you be okay with Metcalf in round 4, or would you rather wait till round 5? Obviously, you'd rather wait, but would you be okay with him in round 4?
I'm round 5. I think everybody else is round 4, but I'm round 5.
I'm round 5 as well. I did that one. We did that one draft. I think it was late July where I just decided I was going to take quarterback and 4 running backs, maybe tight end. No, it was quarterback, tight end, and 3 running backs. 2 running backs. Whatever it was. I got DK Metcalf in like round 6. It was perfect.
No, good luck doing that good luck doing that again. Dave, who blank will be a bust?
I don't have an exciting answer here because I think ADP is pretty good for wide receivers outside of DK Metcalf. That's who I was originally going to say. Odell Beckham has an ADP of 102.5. I'm not touching him. Not at that price. I'm waiting at least 2 rounds after that to get him.